So, welcome to session 2 of From Shame to Shine. I am your host, Heather, and I love igniting shining in everyone I meet. Sometimes my world shows their appreciation, and sometimes it doesn't, and it's okay. And I was really thrilled to be with those of you who could join yesterday. I know many people have said they were going to watch the replay, and a few people have watched it. If you weren't on yesterday and you haven't I did send out an email. It's been amazing, really, how one of my challenges is in life doing things correctly, doing things I'll put in quotes, the right way. And this particular event for me, or how it's unfolded and how I put it together, is different than I've done things in the past. And in a past version of myself, I would say I'm not doing it the right way. I'm doing it the wrong way. I'm doing things in steps different from what I've done before. And what I'm discovering in what's happening for me is I'm getting a brand new opportunity to let things be okay. There is no one right way to get anything done. And so today, grace was upon me to create an email to send out to you all with the information for the Facebook group where the replays live currently, and also where you can find the home study sheet that I prepared for each day. Did any of you get to see the home study sheet and download it, put it to use? Yes? Okay. Is it helpful? Did you find it helpful? What you got to do, if you got to play with it or not? Okay. Some people like exercises, some people don't, so it's okay if it doesn't work for you. I do recommend, there is an exercise on there that requires no drawing skills other than circles and lines and fun use of color. So maybe you skip to that one and do that one. That's something you're going to carry through all 3 days. So I do recommend you do that. And if you haven't journaled in the past, let me encourage you to give this a try. There is no one right way to journal either. Sometimes journaling is drawing pictures of what's coming up for you. Journaling can be one word list of things. Like there's whatever you were taught in school about writing in a journal, throw it out the window. What's helpful about journaling in this, particularly the work we're doing, is it helps you to get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper. And when it's on a piece of paper, you can actually assess what's going on in your head a little better than if it just is rolling around in your head. So I highly recommend you give it at least a try. And again, there's some timed things on there, like just set a time for 2 minutes or set a timer for 10 minutes. If you set a timer for 30 seconds, because if you're not a journaler, that's okay. Like this is all just guidelines, general guidelines. You get to do you get to be your shining, beautiful self. And if you have resistance to the journaling prompts, just realize it's probably a schoolish resistance rather than an actual resistance to the exercise itself. So, or both and. Anyway, just see if you can move through and give it a try. I think you'll find some benefit in it. Yesterday, I invited you all to make your brand new choice to shine more fully than you have up until this moment. And we get to do it again today. So you can say with me, I give myself permission to shine brand new. I give myself permission to shine brand new. I give myself permission to choose to shine brand new. And then I shine brand new. So I love Robert Tennyson Stevens, aka Bob, taught me that the way to dissolve resistance is to back up as far as I have to go away from what I'm choosing. And by back up, what I mean is I start off with, I give myself permission to choose. Sometimes it's I give myself permission to choose, to choose, to choose, to choose, to choose, however many chooses, how many steps back you have to take. Because in doing this, we're honoring ourselves, we're honoring our life experience, we're honoring our felt perception, and we're creating security for ourselves. God in us is fully secure. It's our inner child that lacks security, lacks a secure feeling. So you, as the adult in your life, now get to create the secure environment for yourself by giving yourself permission to choose. I find, especially when I work with clients, that it moves really quickly when we start off with, I give myself permission to choose, let that settle, then move into I choose, let that settle in, and then move right into the new choice. So I give myself permission to choose to be brand new, to shine brand new. I choose to shine brand new. I shine brand new. So anytime you have anything come up, you can just use those steps. I give myself permission to choose, I choose, and then state your new choice. When some of you who have joined the Facebook group, I asked what your outcome was for joining this call. And I'm going to read some of them because, first of all, I feel so honored with the honesty and the truth sharing that was in that brief question. I feel really honored that those of you who shared really intimately, that you felt secure enough to share that. And also it reveals to me how highly committed you are to having your freedom now. So these are the things that were shared. Outcome for joining this call was confidence, grounding, solidly comfortable in my own skin so nothing rattles me. To be more free to be seen. Breakthrough for transformation into my next season. Get rid of the thoughts I deal with daily. Rejuvenation, clarity and freedom. Confidence to move forward with success for my business. Freedom from shame that was never mine to carry. I shine with ease and enthusiasm. Love, light, live, joy. I receive my miracles and upgrades either through watching replays or joining live Wednesday and Thursday. I choose my full shine. Helpful tools. Unmask the shining part of me and give permission to shine. I choose to make shining fun and easy. I like the idea of letting go of shame. I'm shining in my own skin just as I am. No more hiding to make others feel better. I choose to make things fun and easy and shine more now than I ever have. Learn the meaning of intention and applying it to the particles that pop up as triggering, flipping it to joy. To get rid of the feeling of shame, blame, and accept my light within and shine my true self. Joy in being authentic with each person I know. To stop hiding and shine brightly. Something that has been holding me back in some areas of my life, but I'm shining in others. I choose to shine in all areas. I claim my power in that I am worthy to shine. I love all these shares, and I can relate to all of them, and perhaps you can too. We are born with an innate desire, an innate knowing, and an innate ability to shine. I don't know any infants or really toddlers that are very good at not shining. They cry when they need something. They laugh when they are joyful. They blurt out. They have no filter. They blurt out things in public that, if they haven't, until they learn what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, they're just full on shining. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is bringing awareness to the ways that you have been conditioned and programmed to not shine. And we're going to do that starting off by talking about what I'm talking about when I mention shame. When we go from shame to shine, one of the things that we get to do is to become aware of the shame stories that have been cycling in our subconscious and unconscious mind, and potentially the ways you've been using them on yourselves and others. Depending on how you were parented and what culture you grew up learning how to parent in shame is a parenting tool that is cancel clear in the past, I affirm. That was highly revered, and that was how you got good behavior out of children. But using shame on someone to get behavior is not actually good behavior. It's manipulation and it's control. And manipulation and control is actually another word for it that's witchcraft. So just I'm choosing strong language to talk about this because it is not beneficial for us, and we can break up with it. We can decide right now, we can make our new choice right now to stop feeding anything that has to do with shame. And we can only do that by having awareness. Even tonight, as I was preparing for this call, I could feel my face flushing with shame as I was had all these thoughts coming through, like I shared earlier, about the order of things that things should be done in order for them to be done correctly. Because I was taught that you did things correctly, like don't work harder, work smarter. Do things the right way first so you don't have to go back and clean them up. And what I choose to express to you all and ignite in you all, that you have freedom to be all you. And you have, in being all you, you also have freedom to have mess in your life. You have freedom to do things in a way that may not make sense to anyone else. You have freedom to make new choices, to try new things, to give yourself permission to explore and to experiment. Because if you have gone, as long as I have, a few years working under the auspices of shame, it will take some time for you to recalibrate and recondition yourselves around shining. So my offer to you, my invitation, is that you give yourself permission for grace to carry you, for grace to create space, for grace to just saturate your relationships and saturate your days, and that you, above all else, give yourselves grace and compassion. So in my perspective, this is what shame is. Shame is anything that causes you or I, or entices me or you to your I am. And when I say I am, what I'm referring to is I'm referring to the image of God, the image of the Creator, divine love that we are all sourced from, that is within each one of us as us. So God is in us as us. We are the temple of the divine presence. And anything that shushes our unique expression of the divine is what I'm calling shame. Shame contorts versus shine aligns. So if you're having to contort yourself to fit into something that doesn't quite fit you versus getting into alignment in a place that really suits you, you can just like kind of check yourself, see, okay, am I trying to fit in here and move myself in a way that's not really by my design? Or am I in alignment? Now, something that's a little bit tricky is stretching yourself can also bring up feelings of shame, but stretching yourself and then having feelings of shame is an opportunity for you to give yourself permission to shine, to make messes, to try something new, to explore and to experiment without knowing exactly how the outcome is going to be. So we get to also surrender our attachment to certainty, surrender our attachment to outcomes having to look a certain way. When we're being brand new, it means we're being brand new. It's like a newborn. You've not ever been where you are yet. So have some compassion and grace for yourselves. I got a massage yesterday. When I walked out of the massage therapist's room, there's a lady and she's like, yep, she said, it's okay. You don't have to look so scared. And I was like, I didn't realize I had any kind of look on my face. So I went to the bathroom and I walked back, and I realized what had actually transpired in the massage therapist room was I had been made brand new. She did some emotional work on me prior, and then she did the massage, and she let me know things that were sticky and things that had released easily. And I was like, wow, yes, I feel brand new. Like I'm walking out like I have not seen this place before. And she was responding to me being brand new. And so when you're brand new, just realize that you maybe don't have on deck the pattern anymore that used to sustain your habits. And it's okay. The other thing that I'm going to choose to share with you right now are some what I'm going to call shame symptoms, as I have experienced them and as I've discovered them. And I've read a lot. I discovered that shame was running my life after my second child was born. So I was maybe, I don't know, this is probably about 30 years, 20, 30 years ago, 25 years ago. And one of the things that I learned back then was that shame says I am a mistake versus I made a mistake. One time we had, this is back when Blockbuster, and we were renting VHS tapes, and we had gotten a certain children's tape, and I had showed it to my kids, and we watched it all the way through, and then we rewound it, and when we rewound it, it wouldn't play anymore. And when I pulled it out of the VCR, I looked at it, and it was twisted at the end. I was like, well, we didn't twist it, but we loved this tape. It was an old tape. I was like, well, maybe I can fix it. So I disregarded all of the stickers that Blockbuster had on the tape about do not open the tape, and I opened it anyway. And when I opened it, I didn't realize that VHS tapes were spring loaded, and all the springs popped out, and I didn't know how to put back together. So I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to hide. I wanted to never go to Blockbuster again. I mean, it was such a huge, it was above and beyond the actual tape thing, right? Like my face was red, my body was hot, and I was just like, whoa. And I remembered this little thing. Shame says I am a mistake versus I made a mistake. And I was like, I just made a mistake. That's all. My next step was to go to Blockbuster and own my mistake. And I said, okay, what's the worst thing that happens when I go to Blockbuster? The worst thing that could happen is that the employee said something really rude to me and I had to pay $20. That was the worst that could happen in my mind. Well, when I got to Blockbuster and I told the girl my story, basically what I just told you, she says, oh, okay. She threw it under the counter, and that was that. And I was like, oh, all this, emotional upheaval, and it was really not a big deal. And if it had been a big deal, it was just a mistake. I had disregarded the labels on the tape that said, do not do this. But my heart intent was to fix the tape because my kids enjoyed it. So that story really has stuck out to me, that the actual thing that I had done that was a mistake was no big deal to this other person. It was all me. I was the only one that had this huge, this is the worst thing in the world. Cancel clear. Another thing that I learned at that time was that one of the programs that runs when shame is running your life story, cancel clear, when it's guiding you and you're not aware yet, is that the needs of your caregivers were more important than your own when you're a child. So if you can look back on the people that were your caregivers and you see that overall, whether they put that on you or you took it upon yourself, what they needed was more important than what you needed, then versus a caregiver that is sovereign and has lots of what we call emotional intelligence, and knows how to regulate their own nervous system, versus telling a child that they're making them mad or they're making them upset, or if they would only keep their room clean, or if they would only do this, or if they only do that, then the parent could be, or the caregiver could be at peace. That can create deep patterns of shame-based behaviors. I mean, if you're a parent that did that, me, it's okay. Like, there is so much healing and there is so much restoration and there's so much freedom in owning it for yourself and then igniting wholeness and health in your children through what you do for you. I'm also a testimony of that. Some other things are that maybe those things don't relate to you, but it's like if you are constantly do not know what you want. If you don't know what you want, that's because you have been shushing your I am. Your I am knows exactly what it chooses. Your I am knows exactly what it desires. Your I am knows exactly what you like and don't like. Like, that's all on deck for your I am. If you have suppressed all that information, usually because you had a caregiver or an adult who was responsible for your care in some way, whether it was a teacher or a daycare worker or Sunday school teacher or any variety of adult that was in your life, that made your choices seem wrong, then you may have chosen instead to just not know what you want. And I'm telling you that maybe a new choice that you can make is to choose to know what you do like. What do you like to eat? What do you like to do for fun? What color do you like? What kind of car do you like? What kind of vacation would you take? What, just start exploring any area where you don't know what you like. That's an area that you can. I invite you to say, I choose to know, and just see what happens. Another way that it shows up is you have a fear of offending others versus you're confident in other people's sovereignty. I love people who are aware and considerate. It is awesome. And especially when we're talking about adults are sovereign beings. And what I mean by sovereign is adults have everything that is required to manage their own emotional state. Okay. And I'm talking about adults who, I know there are special needs adults, and that's a different category, but by and large, if you are with other adults, they have sovereignty. We all have sovereignty. And what sovereignty means is that I am responsible how I feel and how I respond when something triggers me, and you are responsible for how you feel and how you respond when something triggers you. And if something I am doing is not working for you, it is your responsibility to communicate that to me, not my responsibility to guess at it. It's not my responsibility to manage someone's frustration and anger if they're not communicating. I mean, it's not ever my job, but if they have anger and frustration with something I am doing, that their responsibility to communicate it to me. Now, you can also jump in the game and say, hey, I noticed that you're angry and frustrated. Is there something you need to tell me? Maybe do that once or twice. After that, you say, look, I notice that sometimes you get frustrated and angry, and I think it may have something to do with me, and I empower you to tell me what that is. That's your job to tell me. So I'm not going to guess anymore. You get to tell me. And it's also not my job to do things to manage your anger. That's your job to take care of that. Now, that's a very, very brave conversation to have. Okay. So you know your situation, and you also know what boundaries need to be in place for you to have that conversation. So if you're in a violent home, there are other choices that you have to make before you make that one. Let me make that really clear. And we are not responsible to change our behavior because someone else's emotions are out of control, or they don't have, they're not taking control of them because they're putting that responsibility on you. It's not your job. Fear of hurting other people's feelings, it falls in the same category, versus being secure that feelings are okay to have. If I say something and it causes someone else pain, usually that, for me, that would happen because it was a trigger, not because I was rude, because that just doesn't usually happen for me. But there are people who say things that are unkind, right? How I feel and how someone else feels, it's still a responsibility. I'm responsible to own how I feel and own, like, oh, I maybe just said something that was not very kind, and then it's mine to take responsibility to clean up my mess. So we're empowering people to be secure in their feelings, to be powerful enough to know that they can love how they feel, and they can communicate to us how our words have made them feel, or how they're, what feeling, I don't like the word make them feel, but how their feelings have, how what I have said has brought up feelings for them. Okay. Now let's talk about stopping the shame cycle. Okay, let's talk about something. I mean, this is an important conversation to have, because when we bring awareness, which is what tonight is about, then you can make a new choice. If you were not aware that these things were what was underlying and was creating a shame pattern for you, now you can, this and other things. I love Brene Brown. She's a great material on helping to address shame and bring it to light so you can see what it is. And now that we've talked about it, let's see, what can we do to make our new choice? So the first thing is to do, just own, I'm feeling shame right now. I'm experiencing shame. I'm experiencing patterns of shame. I wonder, you can ask the specifics for it. Like, you can ask yourself, I wonder what happened, like, what does this cause? But I'm finding more and more that's not important information to have right off the bat. The most important thing right off the bat is for you to let love in. And when I say let love in, that's literally what I mean. Now, there is actually no separation between us and love. We are one with love. However, in our mind, sometimes we've got some doors that are shut. And so you just envision yourself, love is standing at the door, and you just open that door and you let love in. And you consciously, with being present, and say, I am feeling shame right now, and I am letting love in. I choose to let love in. I give myself permission to choose to let love in. I let love in. And once you let love in, then from that point on, you can start, and I recommend doing this, say, oh, this is how love feels in my body. In the past, you might have said, oh, I feel so anxious. Hey, what if that's love coming into your body? And what if you naming anxiety is what shuts the door to your awareness that, oh, this is actually love. So you can just say, oh, this is love coming into my body. Have you ever had an arm or a foot, really usually it's a foot or a leg, that falls asleep and it's numb? And then when the blood flow starts back, it's a little prickly and it's a little, I'll call it uncomfortable. But what's happening is you're having feeling return to an area that had been cut off from circulation. So sometimes when you let love in, what's happening is your circulation is starting back up in an area that has been numb. So there's nothing wrong. It's just like your limb that's fallen asleep, it's getting the blood flow back, and so it feels a little prickly. You're feeling the prickly feeling of circulation returning to your love sensor. So when you're letting love in, just be aware, you may have terminology like, that just feels uncomfortable. Okay, well, it just feels uncomfortable. First of all, let me tell you, this isn't a conscious language class, but I'm bringing conscious language in. That's babble. Okay, who's it? And what's uncomfortable? What does that even mean, right? So first of all, I just said, I feel. So try that with me. Say, it feels, and then say, I feel. So if you're having sensations in your body, just name them. I feel some tension in my chest. I breathe, I let love in. Oh, I'm feeling a little tension in my back. I breathe, I let love in. Okay? when you notice how you feel, you may have some emotions coming up. If you can name them, it's helpful. So naming emotions, I'll name them for you. And these are the basic ones. And I recommend if you can use these words, then you probably named an emotion. You likely have named an emotion. If you're not using these words, a lot of times you're not even naming an emotion. Check it out. Okay. So numb is actually a feeling. It's the absence of feeling, but it's in the category of emotions. Numb, apathy, which is like, I can't, it's too hard. I feel tired, exhausted. Sad, fear. And within fear, you can have words like anxiety, nervous, anger. Within anger, you can have things like frustration, irritation, and then pain. There's other words that branch off of those, but those are the primary ones. So many times when we name feelings, we say other things that are not actually feelings. And I'm not going to go down that path right now, but just you can look up feeling words. And if you can narrow it down to those things, because what is a child, a 3-year-old? If you name how a 3-year-old would say it, you're likely going to name an emotion. And it's really important so that you stay really present to what actually you are feeling. And breathe. Breathing, we talked about this yesterday, returns you to the present, returns you back into your body, and helps you be able to name the things that are going on for you so that you can be present and really focus where you are letting love in too. And once you begin letting love in, once you begin throwing open the door wide every time love comes and knocks when you're in a situation, I guarantee you that the ease that you create and the security that you create for yourself empowers you to shine more and more and more. One other tool that I offer you is you can ask yourself, first of all, if you're in a shame cycle or things are, your mind is just, and you have a moment, take a minute, write it down, just jot it down freestyle, look at it and say, is any of this true? And you might say, well, I feel like it's true. If those words come out of your mouth or out of your head, I feel like it's true, likely, maybe almost 99.9%, that's a codependent pattern showing up for you, that where someone else has put that on you, or you've picked it up from outside somewhere. So it's not actually yours. And you can just ask love, ask God, ask Jesus. Jesus, is this true? God, is this true? Love, is this true about me? And let love reveal to you what's true. And really, it's important to stop feeding shame. Not inviting shame in for Coke and a snack or coffee and a snack. I don't really drink Coke anymore, but you get the picture. You're not going to entertain shame. You're not going to feed it. And by not feeding, I mean you are becoming so aware of how shame has been coming up, looking for attention, looking to be fed. And it's not that we're getting rid of shame. What we're doing is we're realizing, oh, shame is coming up. When shame comes up, you can picture shame like a little 3-year-old. When you have a 3-year-old who feels pick a big emotion, shame could be one of them, and you pick up that 3-year-old and you pour love into that 3-year-old, into your 3-year-old, after a couple minutes, that 3-year-old is shining. So when shame comes up, our goal is not to get rid of shame. Our goal is to touch shame so thoroughly with love that shame becomes our shining. We stop shushing our I am, we start letting our I am shine. That's what happens when you touch shame with love. It transmutes, it alchemizes, it becomes your truest expression of God's love shining through you. Try it out. Experiment with it. See what happens. Recently, one of the areas where I unknowingly had been feeding my shame critic, my inner critic, or my shame voice, was whenever I paint. And I didn't really feed it. I didn't sit with it. I didn't actually touch it with love. I just was like, kept pushing it away, like, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. So one day, recently, a couple weeks ago, I was sitting outside painting, and I was like, instead of pushing it away, I just listened to it, and then I flipped it. I listened to it, and then I flipped it. What I mean is, like, I heard this, you don't know what you're doing. And I said, maybe I don't know what I'm doing, but maybe I do. And then I just said, you know what? You really know what you're doing. You're doing such a great job. You know exactly what color to pick. I really like your brush strokes. And I just really started taking everything that the self-doubt, negative inner critic voice was doing, and I just flipped it into a loving, compassionate thought towards me. Now, if I hadn't have had, let me just say why I say my goal is not to get rid of shame. My goal is to become aware of shame, where it's running in my life, so I can touch it with love, so it can become the fuel for love to touch me. And in that moment, that shame story came up to the light. I touched it with my love, and I began to feed myself loving, compassionate thoughts. Okay? So when I feed myself loving, compassionate thoughts, guess what happens? I get stronger. I get more courageous. My brave gets bigger, and my capacity to shine increases. And that's what I'm inviting you all into as well. Okay. I now would like to invite Carol to come on. I met Carol in 2019, I think, on an online group. And then in June in 2020, I invited myself to her house. So I drove to Oklahoma to a stranger's house and spent some glorious, beautiful days. And Carol and I have done some, Carol's been in some of my classes, and I've been in some of Carol's groups. And anyway, Carol has such powerful miracles unfolding even now in her life. I just thought it would be fun for you all to hear Carol share the ways that she's gone through her own metamorphosis and is shining more brightly now than she ever has before up until now. And more brightly. I see this beautiful light code coming through your screen too. It's really fun. So, you ready? You have to unmute.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
It wouldn't let me unmute.
No.
Goodness, I didn't know what I would say, to be honest. Just kind of let it flow. Getting to know Heather and taking her classes have been completely transformational for me. I, at the time, was in a very rough marriage and lots of problems with my children, and just life was rough in general. Learning a lot of things that she spoke tonight. She was the first one that gave me the freedom to be me and didn't place shame on me or blame, and I had been through therapy. I'd been through church therapy, quite a bit of different ways to reach out for help. And I just didn't, I always came away feeling even more guilty. It seemed, maybe how I processed what they said, but I had some pretty rough go around trying to get in a better place. Just learning that I'm okay. I'm not broken. Giving myself permission to love me and be me. And I took one of her classes for your family to communicate. I choose to remember the name of your class.
From struggle to ease.
Yes, that helped so much. I was having so many difficulties with my children, especially, and now we each have a much better communication, much better relationship, have built trust, broke down walls. I learned to allow them to, I don't even know if allow is the right phrase, but to enjoy their journey and enjoy that they're sovereign, and to watch them shine and flourish on their own, and to communicate in a much better way with them. It's been very helpful. Um, through the years, my marriage has improved immensely. Um, and a lot of that was me letting go of the stories in my head of how things should be, and just coming to a place where I can appreciate, honor, and respect my husband, and the anger, the blow up, the just irrational behavior has mostly melted away. It's taken time, but it has happened. Um, so that's been a very interesting journey through all of that, and it has taken time, but it's unfolded, and a lot of prayer has gone into it, and a lot of learning on how to be sovereign in myself and secure in myself, and um, allowing others to be who they are also. Heather, do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts?
beautiful.
Let's see.
Well,
I took your class on joy. That was very, very helpful. I can't say I'm the best student,
I
and I've
can.
been helped. Well, yes, thank you. But I've been helped immensely, even though I'm not the note taker. I haven't done all of the worksheets and all of that stuff, but I had profound benefit from doing the classes and investing in me. I would say that was one of the things, learning that I am worthy to invest in. Um, in the past, every penny would have went to my children or my husband for whatever their needs were. And I learned that I'm worthy to take care of myself too, and grow and improve. So that was an advancement. So
Yes, I love one of the things that I have observed in Carol is as her courage and her faith have grown, and her shining has become brighter, the intensity of the experience in her outer world has lessened and has become more ease and more grace and more, because we get to create our experience. I mean, I know there's people in our outer world, but a lot of times when we're holding back and when we're giving away our power and we're allowing shame and self-doubt and those things that keep us silent to reign, it is likely going to be really loud in your outer world, because there's a dance between shame and anger, or fear and anger, that because the way, at least the way I perceive it and the way it was taught to me recently, is that when you finally rise up in your power and your shining, then the anger pattern outside of you has done its job and doesn't have to be there anymore. Anger is a strong is the strongest emotion that we can feel, or some range of anger. It is a catalyst for activity, for action. And so when that action is taken and it activates what it's designed to activate, then the energy, it's just a strong energy. It's really powerful energy.
mm-hmm.
And when that powerful energy shows up, if it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, because it's not activating what it's designed to activate. So as Carol and I have talked, and she's shared with me and put into action the things that Father's shown her and that she's seen the steps to take, then her value for herself is increased. Um, I
Definitely.
think and so as you increase your value and as you begin to own your own value and you own your light and you take responsibility for your light, then your light does the job of creating a secure boundary for you. Creating healthy boundaries isn't about shutting people out. It's about shining your light so brightly that it just naturally sets the boundary. And by boundary, I mean like it naturally sets, this is what's mine and that's the rest is not mine. So you have, it seems like something else is sparking in your.
Well, I think coming to the realization that I had no idea why or where the anger was coming from and the outburst and stuff. And I didn't realize I had control in helping create that and dissipate it, because I thought it was outside of me. And learning to be a creator and to imagine better things, instead of falling into the cycle of it getting worse and worse. That was one of the revelations that came from your teachings in conscious language, um, and began the journey of things being better by not expecting the doom and gloom type of things. Or so the experiences of them slowly dwindled. Uh, so that was one of the most powerful things I think that I began learning from you. Just wanted to
And
share that.
thank you, Carol. And it takes a lot of courage and strength to put it into action and to put it into practice.
And reminders, your videos through, on your personal page and in your Miracle Mindset group have helped me immensely. It seems like when I'm, hitting a wall or having some moments or just pondering things that I'm trying to break through, so often, I can't even tell you how often, there's Heather with with some kind of encouragement that just helps me through that barrier of whatever it is, or helps remind me, oh yes, this is what I need to do in this situation.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate everything you put out there and how transparently you live your life to help encourage us.
You're welcome. Thank you for being my friend and sharing your miracles. Yeah.
Thank you
It's
so much.
great to have friends like Carol, because then when sometimes when things come up for me and I reach out to Carol's like, remember, she reminds me right back what I've told her. So it's the best. So thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Love you, girl.
I love you. Let me check in on the chat with you guys. So you ladies, there's no guys on here. Let's see here. I'll scroll back. Let's see. People watching the replay. Oh, Deborah, they're giving examples of things that are so relevant to me. I'm amazed. Awesome. I'm thankful. I'm glad you're here. Johnny, Heather, thank you for sharing your worthiness. Your worthiness. I feel like arcing to hear. Oh, I love it. And Carol, Josh, I love your description and definition of healthy boundaries. Yes. Okay, so if you choose, I'd like to open up the opportunity for any of you to share what you're getting, any questions you have, and if you have a particular a shine challenge right now you'd like a little help with, you invite you to mic yourself and let me know if everybody's already shining 100%, 125%. Or maybe you just don't have any questions right now, and that's okay too. It's a relationship like the example of the springs flying over and hearing the video tossed away. Yeah. Feel a new layer of shiny today. That's me as well. Anna, how do you feel about coming on and um, getting a new experience with your mom, if you choose? You mentioned that was a challenge for you. Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I will just then give you a general um, or some guidelines about some ideas of what you can do. We'll start there. And this applies to any relationship. Okay. Bob told me one time, he said, he said, you can give somebody the gift on the inner and they don't even have to do the work. That's really what love, one of the things love does is love gives a gift of grace. So pays the price, takes care of everything. So you don't actually have to do whatever it is that's Siri started talking to me. um, so what that looks like, so I'm going to tell the story first. Cancel.
Okay, I won't send it.
Okay. So one time I was on a walk with my husband, and he said something that he said something to me in a way that just triggered me. And I said, "Hey," I stopped and I said, "Hey, like when you say things that way, this is how it sounds to me. This is how I feel." And I was explaining it to him, and he didn't get it, and he didn't understand how what I was explaining to him. He just didn't get it, and I was giving him examples, and then I paused because I realized I had been down this road many times with explaining and giving examples and saying this is what would be better, and this doesn't work for me, and this is what works for me, and it just didn't go anywhere. And I was like, oh, I'm repeating a pattern. I am repeating the same thing over and over again, hoping this time I'll get a different outcome, and not getting a different outcome and getting the same outcome. So what Bob suggested to me was pause and notice how I feel. Notice how I feel. Okay. So what I've been saying to you, right? So I stopped. We're still walking. I just paused inside myself. I said, how do I feel when I hear those words? What feeling was triggered in me? Sad, if I remember correctly, I felt sad. And so I just poured love into my sad. I just loved my sad. I just let me feel as much sad as I needed to feel at the time. I just stayed in this attitude of loving me, still feeling quite intensely. So I didn't feel a shift immediately. I just was like practicing feeling love. Now I have awareness that potentially the intensity I was feeling was love. I was calling it something else, but it was actually love coming in and doing what I was asking. So as I was just loving how I felt and letting it be okay and not attaching how I felt to my husband changing his words or his behavior, suddenly there was a shift in him. And he said to me, oh, actually, I can see how what I said maybe came across that way. I was like, magic. Now that was the first time it was noticeable within just a couple of minutes. I was like, wow, okay. So from that point on, instead of me talking about or talking to someone, now the way you need to work this out may be different for you, but this was how I was changing a pattern. My pattern was to talk about it, to get it to change, because the change I wanted was for me. I wanted to feel differently. So instead of waiting for some outside thing to change and look different, I just started loving me, letting me feel how I felt and loving all I felt. Then I had cut off my attachment to someone else's behavior changing so I could feel better. The other thing that I recommend is framing up, like Carol was talking about. Carol had to stop the story of going back into familiar patterns of how things had happened before, when things started to look the way they looked. So something would happen, and then the story that she started to make up was building and then actually creating in her experience. But when she started to change her story and started to go within and love all she felt and practiced being secure, creating security for her, being sovereign, then things in the outer started changing too. And framing up, saying, I choose to make this fun and easy. I choose joy. I have a story of another, one of my students. She had a 3-year-old that was having all of these rage fits, and she would go in calmly and leave yelling herself. So she would go in calm with the intent to be calm and to calm her daughter down, but her daughter was not calming down. And so she would ramp up until she would be yelling too. And so she made a new choice to choose her joy instead. This was, I think, during my joy class. And she told this story. She said, so my daughter's in there having this fit. And I breathed and I said, I choose my joy. I choose. She's under her breath. I choose my joy. If I remember correctly, she did it 3 times. I choose my joy. And suddenly, her daughter stopped crying and ran over to her and gave her a big hug. And that was that. So how we frame up our experiences with the people that we're with, and how we frame up our experience with ourselves, starts within us. It's an inside job. So I just recommend to any of you that have a struggle with a relationship, you can shift it from struggle to ease. And say, I choose ease. I choose to know how to bring ease into this situation. Some of it is offloading the burden and responsibility of taking care of someone else's emotions, surrendering offense, and trusting that love is enough. Our love is enough. My love is enough. Your love is enough. And as we let our love shine and catch any stories that we make up about things, and just let love in and let love be the dominating character in our story, I imagine you'll have more and more miracles unfolding, and you'll have miracles to report. Okay, let me check the chat here. Okay. Margie, you made it to your first Zoom. Congratulations. I'm so glad you're here. Lord, dealing with illness and all the feelings that go with life changes. Appreciate words of wisdom. Yes, you're welcome. What does cancel clear mean? I love that. Oh, Natasha gave an answer. Yes, that's it exactly. I remember when I first had friends that had studied conscious language, and they were saying cancel delete, cancel clear, and I was like, what in the world? This is crazy. But truth is that our subconscious is listening to everything we say. And our subconscious will act out what we say if we don't give it a new direction. And so, for example, anything that we say with deep feeling, we're creating matter when we say that. When we say it with deep feeling, we say things flippantly. That also carries its own vibration. So I don't even say things flippantly anymore unless I'm quick with the cancel clear afterwards. I'm like, actually, I don't really choose for that to come into creation. I'm just gonna pull that right back. But there is this idea of continual creation. I think it's in the quantum science realm. And what continual creation is that everything ceases to exist and is recreated, like we don't see it happen. It's flickering so quickly. What it's recreated on is based on the code that existed just previously. So if we're creating a code that says, I don't know, and I can't know. So the next moment that's created, we're in I don't know. And that will keep going until we make a new choice and create a new code, which is I choose to know. Oh, when I choose to know, then the next moment the code has changed, and now I have brand new things going on. If I forget and I go unconscious and I say something unconsciously and it's a code I don't choose to have exist, I go cancel clear my new choices and I create my new choice. So then every conscious choice and every conscious word we say is creating our reality. So when we're talking about from shame to shine, this is why in the sheets that I've created for you, I'm giving you an opportunity, and this is really just a cursory, so just 3 days together, an overview. Then you bring awareness up so you can see, oh, I have been recreating this code again and again, and that's why I keep getting this creation. So as you start to become aware of, oh, I have been participating with the shame code. What new choice can I make right now? Well, my new choice is I shine. I shine brand new and I shine me. And so when I say these words with conscious choice and full feeling, I shine me, then the next moment, what is created is a code that includes I shine me. I shine me. So then as I grow in my commitment to I shine me, so does my experience. I'll start to experientially find and experience in the creation around me shining. When I say I shine me, there's no one else you can shine. You can say I shine God, but that is still shining you. Okay, because God is in you, as you. So it's not saying something that's lofty and arrogant. It is actually owning what is true, which is the truest form of humility that there is, which is to own, I have the light of God in me and I shine me. And when I shine me, then the world around me that has been lying dormant and maybe looks a little yellow because it hasn't got enough light. You see those plants that grow under rocks, and when they finally work out from under the rock and they come into the sun, they burst into vibrant green. Suddenly your world becomes vibrant and green and colorful because you are allowing your light to shine. I see you shining. I have made my commitment to see your perfection, to see you in your sun presence and see your light shining. And I am so thankful and grateful that you have said yes to shining, that you have said yes to your first step in, or maybe first step of being brand new shining, me as well. And as we realize, oh, I think primarily, honestly, it's women that are being called forth to shine, because the energy of the planet is shifting into a balance, and we carry the embodiment of the feminine energy, which is what is required for the creation of the new heaven on earth that we're here to create. We're not canceling out men at all. Men also require having their feminine energy balanced, right? And so they can bring into creation too what they're here to bring into creation. And so I'm just really grateful and thankful that you all have said yes to shining, that you have said yes to this 3 days with me of moving from shame to shine. And really what it is touching any shame that shows up for you with your love so that it becomes your shining presence. There's no more shame stopping you. Shame gets touched with love, and then poof, it becomes, it's like, the Cinderella movie. What came to mind is, touch the whatever and the pumpkin, it becomes a carriage. So you're touching, but this time it's your light gets to stay permanently. It doesn't have to go away at midnight. You can shine 24/7, 365 eternally. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about integrating our shining, taking action in shining, And if anything comes up for you, I invite you to share. That, so we're about 8:40. I'll take 5 minutes for those of you who choose to say. If you have something you'd like to share that you've gotten from tonight, I find that when we share, you can share it in the chat, or you can mic yourself and share it for the video. Something activates in you, and something activates in me, and something activates in all of us. So, anyone have something they choose to share?
I'm happy to reshare.
Oh, go for it, Natasha.
So, going on again on my aha moment from yesterday. It's also a two-layer thing, is recognizing that my aha moment was, in the past I have attempted to validate my new hobbies, my new joys, my new experiences, and relishing in motherhood and love and joy and music, and by placing value on them, or in a financial way, so that it gave me permission to experience them. And my newest layer of that is now feeling so much joy that I'm shedding these layers of shame and letting that weight of those stories fall away. Since that 24 hours ago, I had these moments, and so it's just so much joy and so much weight lifting off my shoulders, that now when I think of those past experiences, I don't actually think of them in a sense of shame anymore. So there's one win and upgrade that I experienced in the past. I would have gone, oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? And now I go, how exciting, I can rewrite this story. So it's very liberating. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
Awesome. You're welcome. Congratulations. I love it. That's beautiful. Let's see. Kathleen says, I love that anger is energy that activates action, and rising up in our power can dissipate that anger because its job is done. Yes. Yesterday I realized I shined last year, making a decision that was what my heart desired and not allowing others to hold me back from what I wanted. Now I need to do that with the rest of my life. Yes. Yes, we can pull from past times when we were shining. Notice how we felt in that shining, in our shining, and let it be the thing that motivates us, shining for the benefit of shining, rather than contracting away. We'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, but contracting away from and avoiding something, we can remember the benefit. We can be motivated by the benefit of shining and what it does for our life and what it does for our world and what it does for those around us. It's beautiful. Yes. Awesome. Anyone else have anything they choose to share now before we say our goodbyes for now? All right. Well, thank you again. And we will do this again one more time tomorrow night. And I will upload the replay into the Facebook group, as well as the your home play sheet and home study sheet, and you can access it there. And again, if you require a different method than the Facebook group, please reach out to me and I will send it to you another way. All right. Feel free to mic yourselves to say good night.
No,
Thank you all. Good night.
Good
Happy
night.
shining. Love you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.